Hi guys, I'm Julianne Soxy. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the 37 books that I read, specifically my mid-year book tag. I am so excited to talk to you guys about all the books that I have been reading. And yeah, let's just get on with the video. I have read, 35 books this year so far. Very proud of myself because I set a goal for 30 books because last year I barely made it to 50. School's so busy. Why is school so busy? Okay, school's crazy. And so I was just like, I don't think that I'm going to be making that time. So let's just not even give myself the disappointment of not making the 50 mark. But maybe I can reach the 50 mark. That would be really exciting. I think it's just really frustrating when I used to go to reading 100 books a year and now it's 30. But I have found a lot of fun new authors and just really exciting things. So hopefully this will be an interesting video for y'all. I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a snapshot. That's why I have my fable pulled up of what my main books have been, all these things. Anyways, I got this idea of a mid-year book tag and the questions from Sarah Crowley. So if you guys are curious, go watch hers as well. Hers is awesome. She's amazing. Hopefully it's better lighting. I kind of switched some stuff around. Anyways, so like I said, I read 35 books. I read 1 book in the month of January, 0 books in the month of February, 9 books in the month of March, 1 book in the month of April, 6 books in the month of May, 9 books in the month of June, also 9 books in the month of July so far. My most read genre has been romance. I have read 20 romance books. That's not surprising to anyone. I primarily read romance books. I love thriller and murder mystery and fantasy and all those things, but I feel like they always have some subplot of romance. So I've also read 11 religion and spirituality books, 8 mystery books, 5 thrillers, and 5 young adult books. My average rating is a 3.8. I feel like I've gotten really brutal and picky with my ratings over the years. I used to be so generous. I feel like I've gotten a lot more cruel is probably not the right word to use, but it feels the only appropriate word to use. And my most read author has been Lynette Easton. I've read 6 of her books so far. Ashley Dill, T. Bell, and Terry Blackstock. I've read 3 of their books. There's a list of questions that I'm going to be answering about just a bunch of the books that I've read. That's really exciting. I do want to mention though that there's 2 books that I DNF'd this year. The first one that I DNF'd was Not a Thing by Susan Henshaw. I feel like I can talk about this more because I do mention Susan Henshaw a good amount, so I can kind of talk a little bit more about this, but it's the second book in this Settledon series. I don't know how you pronounce that. And anyways, I just wasn't vibing with it, to say the least. And then the next one that I DNF'd was The Good Lie by A.R. Torrey. It's a psychological thriller, and I just wasn't vibing with it as I was expecting to, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. And then there has been 3 books that I have reread, so I just want to give a little shout out to those first. The 3 books that I have reread are The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I have the old edition, and it is a thick E. I literally read this though in 2 days. I stayed up till 2 in the morning finishing it. I just love these characters so much. Yeah, they're so cutie pie, so it was so sweet to just re-enter their world. Then I read The Match by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams has been one of my favorite authors for a very long time just because she's such a palate cleanser is I feel the best word to use for her, but she's amazing. So I love The Match. I just want I wish I had all of her books because I years ago, 3 years ago, probably 4 years ago, I read all of her books before she blew up, okay? I read all of her books and I literally love them. I am an avid Sarah Adams reader. I just haven't read her most recent one. I want to though. But yeah, I'm an avid Sarah Adams reader. I love all of her work. I love that most of it's clean, and if not, she gives you the chapters too. Skip. The next one was Bride by Allie Hazelwood. I don't know what Allie Hazelwood puts in her writing, but I absolutely ate this book up along with Mate, which I'll talk about. But yes, I like absolutely ate this book up. Squares, vampires, like I think that that's so fun. I love Vampire Diaries, so this feels very in that realm. So freaking cool. Loved it. It was great. The very first like question, I guess, or thing that I'm going to be talking about is the best books that I have read in 2026. Context. Your girl loves her Kindle, her handy dandy wonderful little Kindle. I love it. I adore it. I read primarily a lot of these books on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. Not all, but most, because being in college, it's just great to have Kindle Unlimited. That's one of my biggest things I think I will tell any college student. Get a Kindle and get Kindle Unlimited, because you just, like, you're not going to be spending money getting books. You know what I mean? You're spending a good amount of money, and you have, like, a good amount of books you can get. So, best books I read in 2026. The first one being Dare to Hold by Amber Nicole. Guys, I really adore this book. One thing that I wanted to find more this year was specifically Christian romance books that were not cheesy and not cringy. I think it's very difficult to do. I wanted ones that had emotional depth where you are like having a connection to these characters, but not sacrificing just your own like values and like opinions and all these things. Just something that I kind of wanted to be thinking about more and what I wanted to be like putting in. And so I was really focusing kind of on that. And I absolutely adore Dare to Hold by Amber Nicole. My friend recommended me this book. It follows two, obviously, male main character, female main character. The female main character is not saved. The male main character is, and he's the worship pastor at his church. And he meets her, and it's all about like her coming to know the Lord, but also like having this growing attraction to him, and him like wanting to be with her, but wanting her to also follow the Lord, not for him. Like, it was very complex, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I also think that they just showed like a side of Christian dating that I hadn't really thought of before, or just like in the way that they went about it, I think was just like really wise. Amber Nicole is just like so wisdom filled, and so I absolutely adored this book by her. The next one was One Last Thing by Susan Henshaw. Susan Henshaw, Callie Mae Shaw, she's the same person, but she's written this like Seedledon series. And it's like overarching, spanning, I want to say 8 books at this point. And I haven't read all of them. I read the first, the third, the fifth. I still read like a lot of her work as well. And I loved One Last Thing. It's the very first book in the Seedledon series. I loved One Last Thing. You're following the whole like Dupree family. It feels very much like Chestnut Springs, but if Chestnut Springs was like clean, I guess is probably the best way that I can put it. But I really enjoyed it. The banter, the family, everything about it. It's like Western, so I think that that's really fun. The female main character has a best friend who's part of the Dupree family, and she passes away, and she leaves behind her 8-year-old daughter, 7-year-old daughter, again, something like that. But the craziest part is that she leaves her guardianship, I guess, to her best friend, the female main character, and the male main character, which is her brother. And the brother has secretly like been in love with this girl for like years. It's just really crazy, and like it's just deep. And I really enjoyed that. And I loved seeing them like her discover herself. She was in like a not a good relationship, and so her discovering herself and then like figuring out what is actual like love and being loved by someone. The next one is the best sequel that I've read so far, and I have said either Dare to Fall by Amber Nicole, because this is the second book in the Dare to Love series, I think is how it's called. And that one's just like really good. It's about, there's like a trio of girls, they're a friend group, so it's about the second girl like in the friend group, and that one was just amazing as well. Like Amber Nicole, again, just knocked it out of the park. Like I loved it. The next one is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. You guys may be wondering, like, Julianne, that's why you read Bride. Yes, it was why I reread Bride. I didn't know that Ali Hazelwood came out with another one until literally a couple days ago, and I binged Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This one was, I personally would like to believe, a lot more spicy than the first one. And if you guys have read Mate, you would understand why I'm saying that. There's more explicit scenes in this than I anticipated. I remember at the very end of Bride, these characters being introduced in a way that could somehow link that there's more to them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read that. Because I really did love Bride. Like, I really enjoyed it. And so I was really excited to dive back into this world, back into these characters and everything, and just learn more about Serena, who is the female main character. Kyo, I don't know how to say his name. He is the alpha wear leader of the Northwest Pack. He is best friends with Lo, who is the alpha male leader of the Southwest Pack. And then Serena is best friends with Misery, who is married to Lo. Okay, gosh, finally got it all. And anyways, I enjoyed Serena. I think it was really interesting to be learning about more of this like world that Allie Hazelwood has constructed through the eyes of Serena, because she's also learning about the world. I love how she was just, again, like discovering more of who she was and finding finally where she belongs. I think that was really cute to see. So I believe that those are the best sequels that I've seen so far. My most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I have 3. The first is Dare to Say by Amber Nicole. Like I said, I'm obsessed with her. She's just awesome. And so this is about the third and final friend in this trio. And she has a lot of like church hurt and church trauma. And so I'm really intrigued to see how Amber Nicole is going to deal with that, because I think that that's very prevalent in society today. And so I'm really interested to see how that's going to go. The second one is Resurrection by T. Bell. This is in the Rising from the Ashes trilogy, and this is the final book as well in that series. This is a Christian closed door, small town. I think there's also some like mystery kind of thriller plot to some degree. All of them are being chased by like something or from someone, or there's just stuff happening, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think I'm excited to go back into that world and see them all interact. I loved the first book of the series. It's called Salvation, and I think that one's really cool. And then this third book, I don't know what it's about, but I'm like really anticipating what it's about. And it's called We Drank the Dawn by Ashley Dill. Ashley Dill is also low-key an underrated author who I've like discovered. She has We Redeemed the Rain, We Danced Among the Shadows, I think. And then this is the third book, this is part of the Meadowbrook Ranch series. Again, very Chestnut Springs if it was like moody and dark and not explicit. But holy cow, these books are very mature, I guess is the best way that I can put it. It just makes you like so sad for these characters, because you're just like, what the heck? Like, how is this? Wow, like what's going on? Yeah, it's like depressing, but like beautiful and like funny. You feel all the feels in this series, and that's one thing that I really enjoy. So I guess do with that as you will. Backtrack. I think that We Drank the Dawn is about the brother from the very first book, like the male main character's brother. And that brother has been genuinely put through the ringer, has not made the wisest decisions, but like from his upbringing, I think it sounds bad to say, like it's not justified, but you understand how he went down that road. If it's about him and who I think is the female main character, I'm not gonna be okay. And if it's not about them, I'm also not gonna be okay, because I think that they definitely like deserve a moment. He deserves someone, like he deserves someone who's gonna just like make him happy, and like he's gonna find a home, and that's all that I have to say. Yeah, I love that man. Like, biggest surprise, I've talked about them a lot, I'm gonna say it again, is the Dare to Love series by Amber Nicole. Like I said, I read the first and second book of this series, and I cannot wait for the third one. This was just like the biggest surprise. I think that Amber Nicole does a fantastic job at balancing like a Christian book with romance, and you are not sacrificing purity in it in any regards. And I think I love how she was very open about that, and like the stigma that can have in a Christian community. And I loved how she was so transparent with, these are what these characters are feeling, and this is how these characters are handling any situation. I loved how they felt real. Like, you as a Christian also struggle with X, Y, and Z, and these characters are also feeling that, and like this is how they're working through it. Like, I think I learned things from them. It was just great, and I cannot wait to see what she does with the third one. My biggest letdown is Penance by T. Bell. This is the second book in the Rising from the Ashes trilogy, and yeah, As a sequel, it just wasn't great. I gave it 2 stars. It wasn't anything like spectacular. I also think my beef was that I wasn't loving the female main character, because she though is the definition of homecoming queen by Kelsey Ballerini. If y'all know, you know. But she was really just like, I think it was just really hard to connect with her. I think that was the point, but it just didn't really land for me. Favorite author, debut, or new? Favorite author, I would have to say, is actually Lynette Easton. I haven't really talked a ton about her. I have read 6 books by her so far this year. She writes, I think, just like the holy trinity. Romance, thriller, mystery, and guess what? It's clean. And I think that's genuinely like what I loved about it, is that it's like this thriller that's constantly having you like flip to the next chapter. You're constantly invested and you want to know what's going on. I love her. Recommend her. She's great. Newest favorite character or characters. Shout out Haley Pham. Declan and Blair by Haley Pham. I read Just Friends in March, and I read it literally in a day. There was so many mixed reviews about this book, but I think as a debut novel, Haley Pham knocked it out of the park. I think she did a fantastic job. And it's really hard, especially when she's very well known through YouTube and in the book talk community, and she writes her own book. Like, I think to actually publish your book out into the world takes so much guts. And for that, I think she did a fantastic job. I can only see her going up from here. But yeah, I really did enjoy Declan and Blair. I'm just a sucker for a second chance, like childhood best friends. I'm such a sucker for all of that. And so the fact that that was written, and Declan being who he is, and then Ivy managing with grief and all of those things, like I really enjoyed their characters. Ivy and Gray from Dare to Hold, I also really enjoy their characters. Again, I'm not gonna stop talking about them, I guess. And then the Dupree family from the Sealed series, I genuinely just love all of them. Their banter is hilarious. They have like a family group chat, and it's just like so cute to see them all interacting. And you have like the parents, like they literally at one point they have a family tree in the second series off of them, because of how complicated it gets eventually. Because you have the parents, and then you have, I think it's 4 siblings, and then you have like their spouses, and then their kids, and then their kids have kids. And so like it's like this gigantic family, and it's really cool to see them all interact, and it's super fun. So books that made me cry. A book that made me cry, there's a couple, but a book that made me cry is Feels Like Fire by Nicole Feller. Guys, this book is actually insane. I think depressing is probably like the best way that I could explain what this book is, because it genuinely is depressing in the best way possible though, in the best way possible. This book follows a female main character who was in a relationship, and unexpectedly her boyfriend, as he was walking to work, gets hit by a car and passes away. That's like not news to any of you guys. That's not a spoiler, trust. He has an identical twin brother who comes back for the funeral and all the things. And it's like this really weird dynamic where like the two of them, the girlfriend and the twin brother, like form this amazing bond as they're just trying to like grieve and figuring out what that is. And this like growing attraction to one another, but feeling guilty and like the shame for just all of this that's going on. And you follow them for I think like a year. It was a long book. I just opened my eyes to how grief is genuinely handled by like differently by everyone. And I just like, I said, like I just adored it. Like there was things that you're just like sitting there and you're reading it and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is just heartbreaking. It's also so beautiful. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's a second book still following them, and I just don't know if I can continue on with that, like, because it was really, really deep, but it was really sweet, and seeing them just, like, lean on one another was really cool, and yeah. I don't know. If you guys really want to do cry, maybe read that book. Like, it was good. A book that made me happy is Picking Daisies on Sunday by Lana Kincotti. I don't know how to say her last name, but I finally read this book. I feel like so many people read it. It used to be so popular, but I finally read this book, and it was so insanely cute. I adored it. And that's why it just made me so happy. Again, like best friends to lovers, there was fake dating involved, like all of these things. I was just like, this is literally like all of my favorite tropes put into one. Wow. Second chance, we love her. Yeah, so I loved that. How many 5-star books I have this year is actually only 2. I have Seated with Christ by Heather Holyman. This is like a religion and spirituality book. And this is all just about like comparison in our culture today. I think it's a great book. I give 5 stars. I related so much to this book, and I think like any person needs to read it who's like in college or like just a little bit post-grad, because it just tells you, it's like, I think the title is like how to live in a culture like fueled by comparison, or it's something in that regards. Yeah, I think that's something that we like all struggle with, and as like specifically as women too, it's really easy to fall into that. And so just like realizing that like you're seated with Christ, and you therefore don't need to compare because like you're seated with Christ, and knowing like where your identity is placed, I think. And so that was really cool. The next one is One Last Thing by Susan Henshaw, which is the very first book in the Seattle Dunn series. Lemon is the female main character, and Silas is the male main character, I want to say. I just love them. Like, again, like I said, I just love like pining, and holy cow, did that man do it. So yeah. What books do I want to reread this year? Honestly, I want to reread more of Sarah Adams. I want to reread more of Ashley Poston. I really love her. She does like this fiction and romance like thing together so well. I do want to reread some of Abby Jimenez, because I've basically read all of Abby Jimenez except for Part of Your World and her Just for the Summer book. I've heard Just for the Summer is amazing. I think it's very fitting if I were to read Just for the Summer now. So I think it might be fun to reread some of her books. She just does a great job as well. 5-star predictions for the rest of the year. I think, honestly, I don't have many. I think just like the rest of the Throne of Glass series. If any of you guys have actually been following along, you know that beginning of 2025, Julianne set out to read the entire Throne of Glass series, and I made it like the first 3 books in the series. I currently am at the tandem read part, so I've like finished Queen of Shadows, and I technically have like Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, and then the last one left. And I think I need like a refresh on like genuinely what's happened, because I have not picked up that book since like maybe, I don't know. I don't even know when I finished Queen of Shadows. I think I finished Queen of Shadows last summer. So that'll tell you. Yeah. I have the time right now to lock in and finish it, so maybe I should do that, like, instead of reading all these other fun little books. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. My goal is that I finish the rest of the Throne of Glass series before 2027, so hopefully that actually happens. But it's also July, and it's about to be August, and school's gonna ramp up again, and so maybe I need to lock in, like, genuinely. Maybe I need to lock in. That is my mid-year book tag. Hopefully you guys found some new authors or some new reads. Hopefully this is interesting for y'all. I mean, I love talking about books and the books that I'm reading, and I found so many awesome authors throughout the year. Not mainstream authors, which I think is really, really awesome. Hopefully I will complete maybe a 50 book year. I would love that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys somewhere, some other time. Bye.